Have no fear, Guy Gardner's here to save everyone. 'Cause I'm the best Green Lantern that ever would. Oh,
that Guy Gardner.
He'll never learn.
He never will. Hello, comic aficionados. Today we're stepping back in time, way back to 1987. Yeah, you like when we did? I actually put when the world was much simpler, and over at DC Comics, dark was turning into funny. We weren't looking at the Dark Knight comic books anymore. We were getting more of a humorous undertone, I guess is the best way to say it. Humorous tone to comics.
Sure.
Join us as we delve into the pages of Justice League #1 and explore the exciting narrative that unfolded in this landmark issue. The late 1980s brought about a wave of change to the comic book landscape, and Justice League #1, which hit shelves in May of 1987, was a game changer. Penned by Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMattheis, who had written the last few issues of the original Justice League, and illustrated by Kevin Maguire, who also created the iconic cover, which would be used occasionally throughout the run.
It's a great cover
of the Justice League and the Justice League Europe.
Yep.
This issue marks the beginning of a new era for the Justice League, which is highlighted by humor. An important note is that this is the first time Giffen and DeMattheis worked together. They didn't know each other before that.
Oh, really?
No,
never.
They weren't friends. And Giffen was brought in to write it. They weren't sure he could do it on his own because he was such a new writer. They wanted DeMattheis to do the dialogue, and they worked so well together, and the way they played off of each other, that they were together pretty much for a really long time after that.
Yeah.
Let's kick this one off by examining the dynamic ensemble that graced the pages of this monumental issue. With returning characters like Batman and Martian Manhunter, joined by a bunch of fresh faces. Hal Jordan, gone. Replaced by the one and only Guy Gardner. He stepped in as Green Lantern on this new team. Shazam takes over for Superman as the strong man of the team.
You mean Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel. They actually call him that at one point in the thing. I was surprised. Mr. Miracle, Blue Beetle, and Dr. Light finally get on the team. And Dr. Light. Female Dr. Light. The roster is rounded off with Dr. Fate and the Black Canary, who had been a member before.
Yeah.
This newly formed lineup reflected the evolving nature of the Justice League during this period of the late 1980s. Justice League #1, titled Born Again, opened shortly after the events of Legends. The team is assembling together for the first time. In Legends, a bunch of the other Justice Leaguers are killed.
Yeah.
That's how what Legends was trying to be like Crisis.
Yeah.
It's a second.
Yeah, it's another event, right? Yeah.
So when we open, we see Guy Gardner sitting alone around the Justice League table, and he's pretending to be the leader of the team. As each member arrives, Guy Gardner gets into it with them in some way or another. He starts with them. First it's Black Canary, then Mr. Miracle, and his manager Oberon, and finally Shazam, who they actually call Captain Marvel at one point. Martian Manhunter then shows up with Blue Beetle, and they get into it with Guy Gardner. Finally, Batman arrives with Dr. Fate, and he quickly silences the nonsense and explains what they will be doing going forward. He wants the team to keep a low profile to start and to work together as a team to become a cohesive team. As of right now, they're not.
Right.
This is definitely not like the Justice League before. This story introduces readers to a more dysfunctional group of leaguers who don't always see eye to eye.
And thereby more interesting.
More interesting, very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, the Justice League of America comic really ran from the 1960s to the late 1980s and really didn't change the formula of itself much. It fought big villains.
Yeah.
Didn't really deal with small people problems.
Right. It's much more interesting, sort of dynamic between the team members.
While all of this is going on with the Justice League and the original Justice League headquarters, someone named Maxwell Lord, who is making his first appearance in comic books, is watching over the new leaguers as there is a lot of media coverage of the first meeting of this new group. The new Justice League's first test is against a group of terrorists that have taken control of the United Nations. The terrorists are no match for the team, and it ends with Batman leaving the last standing terrorist threatening to set off a bomb attached to his chest. he ends up shooting himself.
Ew.
That's a little dark.
Pretty dark.
Yeah, shoots himself in the head. But hey, this is humorous. Turns out the terrorists were hired by Maxwell Lord to test the League. So who is this mystery man? Funny note, there's a character that appears named Lonnie Chu. She is one of the journalists featured in the issue and bears a slight resemblance to the actual reporter named Connie Chung.
Fixture in New York journalism.
Well known here in New York. Now let's dive into the visual aspects brought to you by Kevin Maguire's artwork with the distinct style that encapsulates the late 1980s aesthetics. The bold colors, detailed illustrations, and expressive characters designs contribute to the overall visual appeal of the iconic issue. The issue contains some very different arrangements of panels. Some pages have as many as 9 panels, and they use TV screens as panels, which also adds a very cool aesthetic to the comic book. Do you remember the comic?
I do. I've never really read it much when it was out, but I have gone back and read it since. Yeah. And some of the 9-panel stuff reminds me of the way the Watchmen was set up too.
It's just playing on the original way panels are set up. This is it tells a story in a unique way. This one. The thing that always stood out about this issue was the cover. Showing the entire League like this was memorable. Yeah. We actually found covers from other countries as well of this number 1. Yeah. You're going to say the names of them.
You're going to go with that German?
Yeah. You're going to say the names. In Germany, the comic is called
Gerechtigkeitsliga.
And
I hope I got that right.
You're close.
I don't want to insult the entire country of Germany all at once.
And there's a really cool Superman logo for that comic book in Germany. Yeah, it's very cool looking.
Yeah, cool.
In Sweden, it's called
Menandens Äventyr.
Also has a different cool Superman logo. Yeah, you're good. Right? You're doing great. Also has
like a little bit of my Mads Mikkelsen there.
You're great. Also has a different cool Superman logo in the corner. Denmark and Iceland.
Lovens Vogter.
And yes, another Superman logo. In Brazil,
Liga de Justiça.
That was probably the easiest one.
It's pretty easy.
Love how it also says on the cover, different group in the bottom corner. In Spanish, it says a different group. Different group, so you don't get them confused with the other Justice League. In Italy, it comes with a backup Wonder Woman story. Which is interesting because she's not on the team.
Woman de Wonder. Yes.
Brian's going to speak in tongues now.
Yeah.
I have a copy of my collection signed by Giffen, Maguire, and DeMattheis. It's awesome.
Beyond its standalone brilliance, Justice League number 1 had a lasting impact on the continuity of the DC universe.
Yeah.
It really created more of a sitcom adventure vibe in comics than previous comic book incarnations. This comic helped set the stage for future story arcs, character developments, and the evolution of the Justice League as a cornerstone of the DC comic mythos, with lots of jokes hiding a serious political backdrop. This issue really kicked off the fun-loving, dysfunctional Justice League as a far cry from the serious, streamlined team of the past. What did the fans think when this first came out? Reverberating through fan communities, Justice League number 1 was met with acclaim for its fresh take on the team dynamics and the narrative risks it took. The book sold very well. It became a conversation piece among fans, sparking discussions that resonated throughout the comic book community, and it even had a couple of spin-offs. Justice League Europe, Justice League International, there was a monthly one too at one point. What is its lasting legacy? As we reflect on the Justice League number 1, from 1987, we acknowledge its enduring legacy. The groundwork laid in the issues paved the way for the Justice League's journey through subsequent decades, leaving an indelible mark on the superhero genre. Shortly after, there would be another Justice League title created by the same team. In a future episode, we will look at Justice League Europe number 1, written by the same team and art by Kevin Maguire. Let's wrap this up. Our exploration of Justice League number 1 from 1987, we celebrate the creativity, storytelling, and artistic prowess that defined the era of comic book history in DC Comics. Stay tuned for more journeys through the annals of superhero lore. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more comic book explorations. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Were you a fan of Justice League #1? Did you collect the Justice League? I just actually finished it.
Yeah, no.
And let us know which classic comics you'd like us to uncover next. Thanks for joining us on this adventure through the pages of the late 1980s Justice League #1. Love what you collect.
Collect what you love.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.